I have to speak on this. I know my voice has pretty much been silenced on YouTube, or as some people would say, heavily suppressed. Um, and I know that what I have to say is wildly unpopular with the vast majority of black people. Most black people are emotional. I entertain what Jared Taylor says sometimes when he points out, black people having low IQs, because I constantly see the reinforcement of it. No, I don't support white supremacy, and I don't like to run around saying black people have low IQs. But what is the difference between somebody who has a low IQ and somebody who is overly emotional? What is the difference? I was talking to a blood, right? A general, 5-star general, as he referred to himself. And he said, yeah, we don't fuck with them F&Es. And I like that phrase, F&Es. F&E stands for feelings and emotions. We don't fuck with people with feelings and emotions. And I watched what is this called? And I'm trying to make this video quick. Revolt TV, and it's T.I., Killer Mike, Candace Owens, and more talk Black agenda, voting, and Donald Trump Revolt Summit. First off, I have a problem with the whole conversation because, and I guess I shouldn't be that dismissive, but it's like, where are the black intellectuals? You know what I'm saying? Like, where are the black people who dedicate their life to speaking on black issues? Not people who are just simply entertainers. I mean, that's like how Donald Trump became president, right? Donald Trump is not a politician. He's started out as, somebody who was living off of daddy, and then, entered television and became popular through television, and then became this demagogue that the white working middle class that the Democratic Party abandoned saw as their messiah. And he went up there basically promising them a whole bunch of stuff, like, a return to a former era of white supremacy. And, they loved him for it. On top of the fact that they have an issue with the Republican Party, and they don't feel that they're radical enough. Everything is extreme now. It's the extreme right. It's the extreme left. And I've been saying for a number of years, my disillusionment with the Democratic Party, or my disillusion with the Democratic Party, because I'm watching this Revolt TV, and Candace Owens is not my favorite person. I've said before, it's one thing to talk about not dealing with the Democratic Party and having a plan of action as it pertains to how we go about voting. I've already talked about black people voting as a block, which is what we don't do. Black people just give their votes to the Democratic Party, which is what I said a long time ago, and initially started with Stephen A. Smith pointing that out. Because he really came out and pointed that out about how black people just hand the Democratic Party their vote and nothing changes. Black people are like an abused wife that won't leave, their abusive husband. No matter how many times he beats her ass or slaps her up, they're just like, but I love him. And that's what black people do with the Democratic Party. But I love them. I love the Democrats, but they're abusing you. They haven't done shit for you. I direct you to the conditions of your nearest black community, which is overwhelmingly controlled by the Democratic Party that you've been voting for the last 50, 60 some odd years. Damn. So we run around like an emotional, abused woman. And, Candace pointed this out. Granted, I don't agree with everything that Candace says. I do believe that she overlooks certain things. And you got to keep in mind the fact that Candace's bread and butter, Candace's base is white folks. Okay, that's what her base is. She goes up on Fox News. She goes up on, in front of Congress, right? I mean, how many of your white friends or white people that they come up to you right after Candace went in front of Congress and they were like, oh my God, she should be president. Oh my God, everything that she said was just amazing. And you're just sitting there and you're like, really? Really? You know what I mean? Like I said before, that, when it comes to the coons, they love black people that go on Fox News and basically say all the shit that white people want to say, but they can't say, because if they said it, then people would accuse them of being racist. So if you want to become a black millionaire, if you want to make money, write books, and go on talk shows and basically throw black people underneath the bus and say, well, I can't be racist, I'm black. And you know, they'll throw money at you. Okay, there's no money in black empowerment because one, there's no economy in the black community, and two, black people don't put their money where their mouth is. So, I mean, there's just no money in that. I mean, even if everybody, we love Malcolm X. Malcolm X died broke. And Malcolm X had 4 kids. So people want to sit there and they want to talk about our great leaders. Name a great black leader who wasn't broke. They're always broke. White people put money and resources behind those people who they want to advocate for them and speak for them. Black people don't. So right off top, I got an issue with black people. And again, going back to our emotional nature and low IQs and all that other stuff, because we don't even understand how the game is played. We can't fight power or challenge power or defeat power because we don't even understand how power even operates within the confines of our own community and how we interact with one another. It's all emotions and feelings, which is why there's churches all over the black community, every goddamn place. And there's just massive amounts of poverty. You got more black churches than black banks. We got more black churches than black businesses. Niggas sitting up there worshiping white Jesus, and that's a whole different conversation when you want to talk about self-hatred and how you're supposed to challenge white supremacy when you up there worshiping the image of a white god. But, Candace went up there and she broke down the whole aspect of the Democratic Party and how they haven't done anything for black people. And basically every couple of years they go up there and they just say, oh, they're racist. And I deal with this with my own parents. I've tried to convince, especially my own mother, who is a black woman, and, black women and their emotions. I tried to convince my own mother about how the Democratic Party isn't doing anything for us. And she goes right to the fact that, oh, Donald Trump is racist. I don't doubt that Donald Trump is racist or a bigot or whatever. To me, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. To me, at the end of the day, I don't care who feels what type of way. I want to know what's up with some goddamn tangibles. If it took a racist white supremacist in Ku Klux Klan outfit president to go up there and he was actually going to do something for the black community and say, I'm going to allocate however many billions of dollars to inner city black schools to build up inner city black schools and get some better teachers in there. I'm going to vote for the Ku Klux Klan white supremacist, I hate niggers president. I'm going to vote for him. You know why? Because he's talking about tangibles. But see, when you're emotional black people, you're more concerned about the person saying, oh, that you're racist, right? Or that they're racist than you are about what they're actually doing. It reminds me of some movie that I saw from the 70s where the guy said, and I forget what clip it was used in, but some rapper used it in a clip as well, where the guy was like, people don't care about where you get your money from. They just want to know, do you have it? Right? People do not care about where you get your money from. They just want to know, do you have it? And think about how often that goes on in the black community. Right? People talk all this shit about, the murder in the black community and black on black violence and black male on black male violence and everything. But when it comes to them drug dealers throwing money around, everybody shuts the fuck up. Right? When it comes to the drug dealers running around breaking people off and whatnot, paying people off, everybody shuts up. Ain't nobody got shit to say about them being a problem in the community, right? Everybody's right next to him in the club on Saturday night, popping bottles and everything else, talking about that's that nigga right there, right? So all of a sudden, it doesn't matter the fact that this motherfucker is a killer, a murderer, a rapist, or whatever, or contributes to all that going on in the black community. On Saturday night, he's that nigga because he popping bottles. You know what I'm saying? He sent a bottle to my table and I got 3 bitches here. I don't give a fuck what he's doing in the community. Right here and right now, I'm happy because I'm getting what I need to receive. right? But somehow when we get to politics, black people don't think like that. Now all of a sudden, when it comes to white folks and white politicians and everything, they want to hold them to like their moral compass or something, and they want to sit there and they want to talk about what they said 15 years ago. And I don't give a fuck what he said 15 years ago. What is he doing for me right now? What is he doing for me right now? And again, you can apply that to black politicians, white politicians. I don't give a fuck about anybody's personal shit. I don't care. All I know is, did you sign the bill that's going to bring resources or jobs or opportunities in this direction for my people and my community? That's all I give a fuck about. All I care about is the results. I don't give a shit about anything else. And the thing is that's what Candace was pointing out. Again, even though I don't agree with all of what she said or how she said it, or even some of the manipulation on her part, right? Where you kind of like mix a little bit of truth with some exaggerations or you're trying to use emotion in the other direction. Like people are emotional about fatherless homes. Right? People are emotional about the current condition of the black community and piss poor education. People are emotional about that. So she brought those things up. Those things are true. But then she dives into, the weeds in other areas. I can't think of the specifics, but it's like she dives into the weeds of other areas where like she'll like come out and she'll cape for the Republicans or she'll cape for Donald Trump. Like she's not doing that for black people. She's doing that for the white people so that she lets them know that she's staying on code. You see what I'm saying? Like they know that, okay, Candace, we want you to go in there. We want you to tell black people that the Democrats ain't doing nothing for them, hoping that they can get some Republican votes out of it. Right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the Republicans are going to do anything for black people. That's not going to happen until black people get their economics together and vote as a block and show a high level of organization, which we don't show because we're too emotional. I couldn't agree any more with Candace about that. We're too emotional. I've been saying it since I've been online. We're too emotional. Hell, I was just talking to a biracial woman not too long ago. She wants to consider herself black. Maybe I'll put the clip on my other channel. But I'm saying she was sitting there talking about. I'm like, so let me get this right. So a black man and a white woman can still create black. And she was like, why are you giving white people that power? Yes, a black man and a white woman can still produce a black child. I'm like, wow. So at this point, I'm like, I don't even need a black woman at that point. Why do I need to get with a black woman? Because I can produce a black child with any non-black woman. And then she like paused and shit, but she still didn't get it. She was all in her emotions because ultimately it came down to the fact that, chick, you don't look black. You can't represent blackness. And what I'm talking about ultimately would have you kicked out of the black community, where now you can't culturally identify with the black community and run around and date black men and say things like nigga and, participate in the culture. You would be treated and seen just the same as a Hispanic woman or a white woman or a non-black woman. So there will be certain things that you wouldn't be able to do in certain ways that you wouldn't be able to navigate in the black community. And as a biracial woman, her ass is homeless. And this is something that Cap has pointed out numerous times. You see what I'm saying? So again, she's sitting there arguing with me being intellectually dishonest because she's thinking about, what she wants for, her personal self-interest. Her personal self-interest. But the strange thing is, like, I don't see black people doing this, when it comes to, what is in the collective best interest of the black community. You know what I mean? It's like we want to be so consistent when it comes to, we're Americans, right? But we can't be consistent when it comes to, what's in it for the black community. The funny thing is she identified, she pointed out, and she highlighted how she could see 100% with 100% clarity and accuracy how with this new what was it? The Black Girls Rock, and how you had the transgender women trying to elbow their way in the room. And what the point that I was making to her was, I was like, light-skinned women are doing the same thing with black women. They're trying to elbow their way in the room. You're not black, you're biracial. That's what the fuck it is. And she was trying to elbow her way in, and she was making the point about the transgender women, and she could see that with 20/20 clarity, but she couldn't see it when it came to her own light skin. She couldn't see it. So she could see how she's like, well, I don't even understand what the transgender, they're invalidating what they're saying, which was an excellent point that she made. They're invalidating what they're saying because they're saying that they're transgender women, and there's no distinction between a transgender woman and a cisgendered woman, but then they saw it up there, and when you have Black Girls Rock and they're addressing cisgendered women or just black women in general, they want to make the distinction and say, well, what about transgender women? So they're making the distinction themselves and separating themselves and saying that they have to be separated and addressed specifically in order to feel that they're a part of this show that's addressing Black Girls Rock, because they're separating themselves by calling them cisgendered, as opposed to saying that they're just women, which is the category that they're trying to force themselves into. You get what I'm saying? Right? So it's like she could see that, but she couldn't see the issue with colorism. And I see the same sort of cognitive dissonance when it comes to black people. I mean, the emotional is, I mean, it reminded me of when Dana Lash, you know, she was the spokesperson for the NRA, when she went in that town hall meeting. And you got to think about that. Dana Lash went by herself. Okay, it wasn't Wayne LaPierre there. It wasn't Coleon Noir there. It wasn't any of these other NRA people. It wasn't Cam Newton. It wasn't any of these other people. Is it Cam Newton? What's his guy's name? You know, the Cam, and I think it's not Cam Newton. Cam Newton's a football player. You know what I'm talking about? Cam, the white guy that's married to a black woman. If y'all didn't know. He's one of the spokespeople for the NRA, or was one of the spokespeople for the NRA, and his wife is black. Okay, they met in Camden. They're from Jersey. Okay, but in any event, what was I saying? You know, Dana Lash went up before the NRA, and I don't know, it was like Newtown, whatever, and they were having this. Y'all seen it? Y'all can go and Google it. Just type in Dana Lash NRA town hall meeting. I think who was there? The freaking Cruz dude, or whatever his name is. So he was there and everything. Was it Ted Cruz? Who was it? It was the dude from Florida. I can't think. Mark Rubio. It wasn't Ted Cruz. It was Mark Rubio. So he's up there and all that other stuff. But I'm saying, watch the whole thing. She's up there by herself trying to address these people that are concerned about mass shootings, right? And they're just booing her out of the room. She can't even get a word in. And that is exactly what black people did to Candace Owens. Again, like, whatever personal issue you got with Candace Owens, yeah, I get it. She does some coon ass shit. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, when somebody is speaking truth, and see, this is why, you know, when it comes to like even the conversation online, and why some of the other people who came online later, I told them, I said, it doesn't matter how you fucking say it, because people get on me, oh, you're using profanity, and I'm like, when it comes to black people, it's not about how you fucking say it. Black people, if they don't like what you're saying, they're just going to roast you. They don't like what you're saying. That's black people. Black people won't sit there and look at shit objectively and be like, oh, you know, he makes a valid point. That's true. Okay, especially not in the comments section. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to like hit them a certain way to be like, yeah, okay, well, whatever, motherfucker, you're going to have to think about what the fuck I said when you leave the room. You know, it's just the same way I told black women. I said, stop bringing these light-skinned bitches into the room. And black women, they went off on me, and they were like, no, it's black men that are one-drop ruling light-skinned women. When they stop, then we'll stop. Right? Which was total bullshit, because as we can see, the shit that ain't got nothing to do with black men, once again, black women with all their inclusivity are including transgender women, and now transgender women have come back to bite black women in the fucking face. And that's black women's fault. That black women got to deal with that. I'm like, I told y'all bitches, stop being so goddamn inclusive. Y'all don't know how to be selfish. And the same thing applies to the community as a whole. We've talked about this before. The way they go up there, ooh, black and brown folk. Them Hispanics don't give a fuck about black people. And y'all are black and brown folk. Every time they jump on MSNBC, and it's largely majority black women that are up there, black and brown folk. I'm like, why you keep saying that? They don't be sitting up there talking about brown and black folk when they talking about, you know, their shit. And the point that Candace made about them flooding into the country and everything, yes, that is going to be an issue for black people, because as Ann Coulter said, and you can find the clip on YouTube, Ann Coulter pointed out like 3-4 years ago that the Democrats are dropping black people and they're picking up the Hispanics. That's why you see Beto O'Rourke up there, you know, he's up there talking in Spanish, and all them people trying to talking Spanish at the Democratic debate. She didn't say nothing that's untrue. Them niggas up there sitting there talking Spanish. They ain't trying to talk to black people. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that black people, there's unrest with black people. Because the younger generation are demanding tangibles. They're like, man, fuck all this shit that our fathers and grandparents and all that shit and grandmothers voted for. Because we see that there was no benefits to that shit. We see that there's no results. They voted for the Democrats for the last 50 years and they ain't got shit to show for it. And many young black people are saying, look, we ain't gonna be suckers for the shit. You know what I mean? It's not a matter about switching over and going to the Republicans. Again, we are looking for people to address our issues. You want our vote, you address our issues. And the way that you deal with that is you vote as a fucking block. But black people are too goddamn emotional. You know what I'm saying? And again, like that audience didn't give me any hope. Right? Because it doesn't matter the amount of truth that's up on stage. The emotion is what I'm focused on. And the emotion is that the black people are so emotional that you know, again, despite all the truths that Candace was up there saying, it doesn't matter. Those same people that were trying to talk her down are the same people that's going to go to the ballot office and continue the trend of black people wholeheartedly going out there and voting for the Democratic Party and sitting there and thinking that they're going to get something in return. And they're not. And they're not, you know, and again, all that has to be said is this candidate on the right is racist, or this policy over here is racist, or this is racist. And I'm not saying that the right doesn't pull racist ass bullshit. But what I'm saying is when all they got to do is boogeyman you out of policy, boogeyman you out of tangibles, you're done. You're done. You know what I mean? When they can walk in the room, like here's a Republican saying, I hate niggers, but here's freaking reparations for slavery. Black people will focus on the I hate niggers part before they say, you know what? I don't care what you say. We're going to take this $1 trillion and we're going to go and do something with it. You know what I'm saying? We will forego the freaking however many trillions dollars because he said the N-word. That's us. That's us in a nutshell. Okay? You know, and I mean, even with this biracial chick that I'm telling y'all about, she was like, I don't tolerate anybody saying the N-word. I got to check motherfuckers. I'm sitting there. I'm like, chick, you are a rock star away of being them any goddamn way. Motherfuckers don't run up on me speaking the Spanish. You know what I'm saying? She could walk around and she'll have Hispanic people, Puerto Ricans running up on her, just start rattling off in Spanish. Yeah, because you look like them, bitch. You know what I mean? So you going up there talking about, oh, I don't tolerate people saying the N-word and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, look, I don't police the shit like that. I just don't. You know, frankly, I don't give a shit about that type of stuff. Hell, especially being up in the Northeast where you got people that got, black family members and people are swirling all over the place. I'm like, man, fuck that shit. And on top of that, the fact that black people love to use it in their songs all over. I said, man, fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you come up north with that shit, people be talking like, they're like, well, there's a difference between nigga and nigger. Then on top of that, they use it amongst themselves when you're not even around. I'm like, I'm not policing that shit. You know what I mean? Oh, what's up, my nigga? With the nigga? Like, I'm not policing that shit. Fuck that. You know what I mean? But she's trying to assert her blackness. So she's like, nobody will ever be using the N-word around me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, okay. I get it. Some biracial people, they don't fuck with white. Let's say you got three type of biracial people. Like, you got the ones that don't fuck with white people because white people will say some foul ass shit when they think that they're in good white company or they don't realize the person is black or half black or whatever. Right? So that'll make somebody militant. Then you got the people that, they're in the middle where they want to use their light skin privilege when it's convenient, right? But then disassociate themselves from black people when it's convenient, right? And then you got the super coons, which are the ones that you got to really be careful of, which are the ones that get around that basically spy on black people and then run back to massa and then tell them everything, right? So those are the three type of light-skinned biracial people, whatever you want to call them, and anyway, I was trying to explain this to her, but it was just like going over her head. We're just too emotional. And I mean, the way that they were shouting down Candace, like it's like Cap and I used to always say, you know what I'm saying? When we sitting there and we debating feminists or arguing with these women and whatnot, from the black male perspective, I'm going to take bits and pieces of what's said. I'm gonna be like, okay, this is bullshit. This is wait. Back up. That right there, that piece right there, right? Black men don't care about where they put their seed, right? That was something that Divine Brown identified. Other races of men care where they put their seed. Wait a minute. Wait. All the other shit, I didn't care for what all that other stuff, attacking black men and y'all is just a bunch of weak ass motherfuckers. Okay, yeah, I hear all that. But this right here, we don't care where we put their seed. Let's examine this. And then what came out of examining that was the whole aspect of the fact that there's no patriarchy in the community. There's no legacies. There's no generational wealth. Black men aren't passing on their wealth through the black woman's womb. Black women are associated with poverty. It doesn't matter where a black man puts his seed because he's not, passing on black wealth and trying to create Wakanda. So other races of women become no more valuable to the black man than the black woman does. Or the black woman is no more valuable than other races of women. That's how you say it. The black woman becomes no more valuable than other races of women because it doesn't matter where he puts his seed. Whether a black man swirls it up or whether a black man gets with a black woman and is operating in the black community in poverty, like it doesn't matter. He's in no better position. He's not contributing anything. He's not building anything. He's not working with other patriarchal black men to put anything together so that, he actually has a community and so that his children are not subject to the rule of other groups and races of people. Right? So once we saw that, we were like, ooh, this not having a patriarchy thing, this shit really ain't good. Right? But that came out of saying, okay, bullshit. I'm still listening to you. Bullshit. Nope. But this piece right here, we need to look at this piece right here. And that's how black people need to approach it. But see, the problem is, and this is why I think these debates and shit with all the people in the room, first off, most people shouldn't be in the fucking room. Okay, most black people have low IQs. Most black people don't debate. Most black people don't do an exchange of ideas. Most black people aren't critical thinkers. Most black people are emotional. And that's to be expected with, again, what Candace Owens addressed about us having shitty ass education. Right? Shitty ass education equates to, you're not being questioned. You're not being cross-examined. The ideas that you have aren't being held to light, and they're not being, held to, scrutiny. They're not being scrutinized. They're not being examined. They're not being challenged. You're not being put in a position where you actually have to defend your position. It's like one of the earliest memories of English that I can remember is that when you're making an argument, you have to give three supporting ideas or concepts or facts or something like that. So you say, and you give three things, you give three examples. You're like example one, comma, example two, comma, and example three, right? That's how you're supposed to do it. Right. But see, people like black folks, it's just all emotion, and then you get the people who, because they didn't get the proper education, they feel dumb. And then they get on this thing like, where they think all opinions are equal. And I'm like, no, everybody's opinion isn't equal. I run into a lot of black folks who think that just because I should have a chance to speak. And it's like, you're not even well versed on the subject matter that you're even talking about. It's like when I hear, people talk about guns and firearms. You know how many people who swear up and down that they gangsters that don't even know about freaking firearms, motherfucker, running up on me talking about, yeah, man, I got that 45 millimeter. There's no such fucking thing as a 45 ACP, goddamn it. Get your shit right. If you're going to sit around and talk about how much of a gangster you are, get your shit right. If you want to sit there and talk about, so much about guns, and it's hilarious because they sit there and they look at me and they size me up and they like, oh, this nigga educated lame. He don't know about firearms. And I got all type of arsenals and shit, but they don't know that shit. So they just sit there and they assume, and you get these people that run around, bragging like Cameron said, running around, what do you say? Take them DuckTales to Disney or some shit like that. Yeah, take them motherfucking, you don't know what you're talking about. And you get a lot of black people that get into conversations, they don't know what they talking about. You know what I mean? They just go up there just with, and you gotta love the people that come with canned responses. They heard a 5-minute clip of Malcolm X or Farrakhan or something like that, and they want to give you a lecture on the house. Let me tell you about the house Negro and the field Negro. It's like, nigga, like we are so beyond that shit. Like, damn, but this is what goes on in the BC. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, I actually felt bad for Candace. You know what I mean? And I know she's gonna go back to her white folks and she's gonna be like, NT, I tried, and the black people, they just don't listen. And she's half truth. She's half truthful. I can't sit there and even defend black people if she was to go back and tell white people that I still think it's cooning, because I'm like, you don't need to be running back to them with that shit. But at the same time, I'm like, nah, man, like that's evidence. I mean, grown ass man. This woman's on the microphone and grown ass men in the background yelling and shit. All in the background. Grown ass men can't let this woman speak and then wait their turn to fucking speak. They want to shout her down. See, that's that matriarchy in us, man. That's that too many of us raised by fucking women type shit. All emotional bitch ass nigga shit. That's what we do as black men. And so you can't even let a black woman speak and wait your motherfucking turn to respond to the chick. And you think you gonna go up there and challenge other races of men who've already economically, militaristically, physically, emotionally, psychologically dominated you and your woman? Y'all just going up there whining like a little bitch instead of waiting your turn? You know what I mean? Letting her make her point and then rebutting. You know what I mean? And I don't care. I know Candace, she gets on her soapbox and then she just goes 1,000 miles a minute. I get that. But I'm saying you already know Candace's talking points. So you should already be prepared when you enter the room with Candace. You should already be prepared. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's just, like T.I. when he was up there, he was like, and what time period would you want to go back to? What time period would you want to go back to with that? That's not even T.I.'s own talking point. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where he got that shit from. I think he got that shit from like Tim Wise or some shit like that. Like, nigga, that's not even your own talking point. Like, he said that shit and then put his arm on the chair like he said some shit profound. Excuse me, nigga, you was the one that ain't even smart enough to network and bring donuts to the motherfuckers that work at the goddamn gate in your apartment complex or wherever the fuck you live, your mansion complex, and bring them some pizza or whatever. Hey, yeah, I noticed you the new guy. Hey, what's up? Hey, you guys, anybody want any coffee? Anybody want any pizza? So that when you come back in the gate, the new guy knows who the fuck you are. But see, you didn't give a fuck who he was because he's just a nigga that works at the gate. So already off top, I already know that right then and there, black men don't network. We don't work with each other. You know what I'm saying? So when Candace is bringing up these points about shit that we need to work on, she's 100% right. When you got a rapper nigga that got millions of dollars and can't even bring the niggas at the gate that let him in the damn complex and keep him protected and keep people out of his neighborhood, freaking pizza and coffee. You see what I'm saying? So like, it's like these niggas get on wax and they talk all this shit like they know a whole bunch of shit about the streets, but unfortunately, they really don't know much else outside of that. Because there's a whole dynamic of an intact patriarchal community as black men that we don't operate like. So we're out of practice. You're not going to be able to street nigga your way through a black corporate America. You ain't going to be able to street nigga your way through if we even had a fucking Wakanda. You ain't gonna be able to flex on niggas. You ain't gonna be able to put a gun on the table and shit like that. Like you trying to intimidate somebody. That's not how you gonna operate if you talking about multinational conglomerate corporations and banks and financial institutions and shit. Like you're not gonna be able to do that sort of shit. You know what I'm saying? You got that shit's gotta be subvert and covert, and you got spies and espionage and fucking Splinter Cell type shit, nigga. Like you can't be up there just on some gangster shit, got your feet up on the table and shit. Like, no. You know what I mean? But see, that's the only way that niggas operate, because niggas raised in the streets of our broken, non-existent patriarchal black community. And so they think that's how you gonna be able to go out here and navigate in the world. And that's motherfucking T.I. And I'm like, nigga, that shit don't work like that. So it's just like this is like how we operate. And then Killer Mike's done already lost points ever since ever since he had that interaction with Coleon Noir, and then he backpedaled like a motherfucker. Two black men having a conversation about firearms, which again, black women ain't even gonna be the ones using them if some shit were to pop off. You know, if there was some great purge of the black community, black women ain't gonna be the one. So why the fuck is Killer Mike letting Joyanne Reed from MSNBC shame him into denouncing the NRA and denouncing Coleon Noir, which is supposed to be his peoples? You know what I mean? And then he gonna come up there and, you know, throw on the capes for Candace. I'm just black as a black man. You let this woman speak. Like, nigga, shut your bitch ass up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, like, I'm like, you already done shown your true colors, man. Like, just like, stop with the chest out caping and all that other shit. We already know when push comes to shove, when your white overlords come through and they giving you checks and everything because you're dependent on that system and you're dependent on white zaddy for your money and everything, okay? You ain't gonna be up there advocating for black people in self-defense and the Second Amendment and everything else like that. You're just as bad as Candace. You just got a dash more street credibility because niggas is out here emotional and shit. So I'm like, stop it, nigga, stop it. You know, so it's just frustrating because the way that whole audience treated Candace Owens, that is the black community. That's the black community. And I mean, just period. That's us. And I've been in the inner cities. I've been to these community events. I've been to the schools. And I'm telling you, that's exactly how the shit goes down. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly how it goes down. I've gotten on the microphones. That's exactly how it goes down. When you say something that isn't, you know, the popular group think in the black community. Black people are like Muslims. You know what I mean? Like, we're very much group think. It's like, you know, when you get into Muslims and you ever like try to debate Muslims, you know, oh, that is un-Islamic, the unbeliever. We do not listen to the kufar. You're right. Like that's Muslims and that's black people. Black people no different than Muslims. It's group think, and that's how we are. And you already know this because all you got to do is look in Africa. Ain't nothing African about you know, this the westernized Christianity that we follow. Ain't nothing African about the Arabization of the Negro through Islam. And yet the two largest religions in Africa are Islam and Christianity, which demonstrates to you how easily some other group can come in and just basically control our minds by selling us their version of their shit and their God, which elevates them. So you know, sometimes I don't know how to feel. You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at the black community and I'm just saying to myself, I'm like, should I just breed myself out? Do I really want to like engage in this conversation with black people? Because we are too emotional. I don't see a whole bunch of hope. I don't see black people standing steadfast on their morals and their personal convictions that they believe and came up themselves that benefits them is to their collective best interest. I don't see black people doing that. What I see black people doing is I see black people going up there and just being emotional. That's what I see. That's what black people do. You know, and don't get me wrong. I could talk about the poor ass whites. Dave Chappelle has pointed that out. You know, a lot of people have pointed that out about how, you know, the white guy that wrote the book. What did he write the book? Something about Kansas. What did he write? What did he write a book? The book was something about Kansas, but he was basically saying how these poor working class whites vote for the Republican Party and how the Republican Party ain't really working for them. You know, and it's basically the same thing. We got a lot of low IQ people in America, you know, but the thing is like white people can kind of afford to have low IQ because they're the dominant members of society. Black people cannot afford to be emotional and lack critical thinking skills. We can't afford that. We got to stay on code. We got to be disciplined. We got to be more intelligent. We got to recognize when somebody's trying to sell us bullshit. You know, and we got to recognize that. Somebody comes through with the Bible. It's like Desmond Tutu said. You know, he was like, the white man came to Africa with the Bible and asked us to close our eyes and pray. We had the land and they had the Bible. When we closed our eyes and then we prayed and then we opened our eyes, they had the land and then we had the Bible. That's black people. You know, and most black people, I mean, I really just, you know, I really just don't really feel like debating and arguing with black people, because most black people, they're not up to speed. It's like what Dr. Hendrik Clark said. You know, those who are my intellectual equals, I debate. Those who are not my intellectual equals, I teach. And that's how I feel when I interact with most black people. It's not that I can't learn from other people. You know what I mean? I more or less, when I listen to other people, I more or less learn from their experience. I learn from, like, if they tell me a story, I learn how people process things. Like, if they're given a certain situation, I learn how people are going to respond to a situation when they don't have any other out, when they don't have any other way of dealing with the situation, or they have a limited ability to deal with the situation. I'm like, okay, I can see why you went that route. You know, I don't agree with it, but again, I'm talking as somebody who came from, you know, a solid foundation. Right. My parents had resources. I grew up in an affluent, predominantly white suburb. Right. So I had resources. Right. But when I observe other people, understanding the inner workings, the inner minds of black people, you know what I mean? There's certain areas where I don't agree with what they did, but I can't condemn them for it. I can't be angry about some of the choices that they made, given the situation and the circumstance. That's not everybody. That's just some situations. It gives me insight as to why people would go this particular route, right? And you know, Captain Solo is also another person who has helped me understand that, because even though we think very much alike in many regards, you know, he had a totally different upbringing where he was negatively affected by some of the choices that the adults were making around him. So he was a mentally mature child who was raised by mentally immature parents. So he has a different, you know, perspective. So when we bring our perspectives together, you know, it creates a greater understanding. But, you know, when it comes to most black people who grew up in the black community, oh God, it's you got to deal with them a certain way, you know, and you know, if you want to be a black politician, just focus on emotions. Just go up there and say emotional shit, which pastors and black politicians have mastered. They know this. All they got to do is say certain things and they will get black support. They guaranteed. And even after this conversation, they will continue to get black support, even if you try to wake black people up. For further evidence, I direct you to Malcolm X. I direct you to Fred Hampton. I direct you to Dr. Claude Anderson. I direct you to Amos Wilson. I direct you to these people who dedicated their lives to waking black people up, telling black people things that have already been told, and throw Farrakhan in there. And black people still have not listened. Black people have still gone out here and continued to do the same things over and over, expecting different results. So I don't really have a whole bunch of faith just because I grab the microphone and I jump online and I say some things towards black. I don't really have the faith that black people are going to change their behavior. You know, we are like children, and I have no reservations about saying that and pointing that out. That is what we are. We are like children. And if you feel emotional about that, too motherfucking bad. Too bad. Adding on to the emotion that you already have about everything else isn't going to do anything. We are an emotional people, and we respond to things emotionally as opposed to responding to things critically. Again, I direct you back to Gone with the Wind. You know, when Rhett was up in there talking about, you know, I believe it's hard winning a war with words, gentlemen. What does that mean to a gentleman? Right? When and freaking what's his name? Ashley jumps up, you know, or is it Ashley? Who's the other guy? I forget. I don't know if it was Ashley, but the guy who jumps up and he's like, you know, we don't want to hear any renegade talk. He's telling you, he said, there's not a cannon factory in the whole South. All we have is cotton, slaves, and arrogance. Right? We don't want to hear any renegade talk. He was telling the truth. You know, we don't have any cannon factories. You know, they could what do you say? They could bottle up our harbors and starve us to death. All we've got is cotton, slaves, and arrogance. I could go to the Apollo 13 clip, you know, where he was like, we got to bring him down to 12 amps. You can only run a vacuum cleaner on 12 amps, John. or you can't run a vacuum cleaner on 12 amps. And John told him, I've been looking at the math for an hour. We got to bring him down to 12 amps. If they don't have power is everything. If they don't have any power, they can't change their trajectory. They can't turn around their heat shields. They can't communicate with us. We got to bring them down to 12 amps. And then the guy with the buzz cut, he came in, that's the deal. That's the deal. Then he turned around and told everybody to run simulation tests and everything. That's critical thinking. That's critical thinking. We don't critically think. It would have been if that was a room full of black men, it would have been, well, who made you the boss? Who made you the boss? Nigga, you ain't straight. Oh, nigga, I bet you can't beat my ass. That would have been black men. Meanwhile, white men, that's the deal. That's the deal. Bring them down to 12 amps. If they don't have power, power is everything. We don't operate like that. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out.
Ways that your blackness cancels out by putting your dick in someone who's not black. That you give them too much power.
No, wait. How am I giving? No,
Why
can't
can't she be more black than she is white if she has a black dad and a white mom?
Why
do you think her whiteness overcomes?
No, what I'm saying is she's not black. Like black is two black parents. Once you create up a situation where I can go and I can stick my dick in a white woman and I can still produce
I can't believe you can't see your blackness out like that.
Because wait, how come did you see what happened with the Miss Japan who was half black? Okay, so they had a Miss Japan and she's half black. They call them Hafu in Japan. Okay, she won Miss Japan and the Japanese women lost their shit. They were like, she's not Japanese.
Asian people and white people on the same level.
Yeah, exactly. So, but my point is that they stay on code. They don't. Hold on. Let me make my point. What I'm saying is they stay on code. They're not going to allow they have an identity. We all know what a Japanese person looks like. They're not about to allow somebody who's half another race to usurp their identity. What African Americans are so used to, because we've never.
That's what I'm saying. That's one of my biggest issues. On social media or whatever. It's just look how all women of all shapes, sizes, colors are made to feel secure in our spaces. When Lil Nas X he topped the billboards in the country whatever, they kicked his black ass out.
Yeah.
So Billy Ray Cyrus stood up and said, no, we're at the top of the chart. So it's just you have to understand, yes, that's just how they are. The other races, the whites, the Asians.
So you're saying
they do not let us in our spaces. That's not.
Wait. So you're saying
every D1 football player got a white girlfriend.
Hold on.
Every fucking NFL player.
So you're saying
that is a fault of our own.
Wait.
Black men have let us down.
Oh, okay. Black men let us down. All of that. Fuck it.
Sorry for asking.
Hold on. Fuck it. Let's go with that. My point is, you just brought up an excellent point.
We've been betrayed by black men. I actually have a video of me talking to my cousins who are black men. And they literally said to me, these are people that I love, that I share blood with.
Yeah.
And they literally said to me, my cousin, I don't want to date anything I can find back home. And that is.
What can they find back home?
Black women. They came from black women.
But
black women. Their aunties, their uncles, everybody's black. When they go out, they looking for anxiety. They looking for.
Yeah, I get all that, you've derailed the conversation. The conversation is about what you just brought up the excellent point that other groups stay on code, that they don't let anything come in their space.
And we
do. And that was my whole argument, because you're saying
but that doesn't mean
you're saying
if you have a black. You said to me, if I have a child with a white woman, that child is not black.
They're not black. They're mixed. And I'm saying the way you phenotypically look, you look like a mixed woman. And you're running around screaming, I'm a black woman, and I'm saying I can wait.
Even more, I am a black woman.
And I'm saying
you can't accept me being a black woman is an ignorance on your part. If you think that your blackness cancels out
listen.
because you stick your dick in a white woman, then you have larger issues.
Honestly, I am not one of these people that are like, running around, racial purity, and all that other stuff. My attitude towards this whole conversation is about intellectual integrity. And the intellectual integrity of the conversation is you cannot take a black person and a white person and produce a black child. Wow. No more than you can take a black person and a white person and produce a full-blooded white child. They would not accept that. They don't accept that. My ears are about to bleed. But I don't. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand.
I'm trying to understand how you you're right.
It sounds to me like you don't want to get kicked out of the black community. No, that's what it sounds like to me.
No, it sounds like to me that you think the black community is this big and it's only for people who are dark skinned.
So you're saying black.
Are you serious?
So you're saying
that.
So you're saying.
Are you serious? Are you?
So you're saying that black. Yes, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Matter of fact, if you know what. I think you hate yourself because you.
How do I hate myself?
So highly
of a
white man that you literally can't accept the fact that you can make a black child with another race. You can't accept that your people are beautiful and vast in ways of
vast.
Beyond
Hold on. My people are vast in ways based on the inclusion of the genetics of another group.
No, like that.
That's what you just said.
Black people were light before they even had white people. There is people who have been in Africa who are high yellow.
Oh my God! So there's black people walking around Africa looking like Beyonce. That's what you're telling me.
Absolutely. Hold on.
At what?
There are albinos.
Hold on. Wait.
Black people are so
wait, albinos. Hold on. Albinos are black people that lack melanin. They are not black people.
Black people are not just one. Like, okay, let me say, is this?
Albinos are not a different race. They're not just light-skinned black people. They lack melanin. So why would you bring up albino people?
Okay, that one. That's the only thing I said that was wrong today. But listen, you're trying to say that black people don't have.
Go ahead.
I hate that you think so.
No, I don't want you.
I think that you're so limited that our beauty is only limited.
No, I don't want you to get
to darker. Like that is definitely not.
I don't want you to get your light skin wake up call because chances are.
My light skin wake up call.
Yeah, you gonna get a light skin wake up.
I'm a black woman who and I can't believe that you don't think that black people can look can look anything different than you. Like I cannot. That is
because but okay. Oh, I'm saying let's look at your tree, right? Your dad is full black, right? Is your dad full black? Hold on. Is your dad full black?
Absolutely. Everyone in my family is
full
black.
Wait. No, hold on. I saw your mother, and when I spoke to you yesterday, I said the Spanish lady that was with you was your mother, right?
What did I tell you?
And you said she's black, okay?
She's black.
But when I saw her, I did not see Harriet Tubman, okay?
Oh my God.
I did not see Viola Davis.
The door.
I did not see.
The fact that you have limited your people to the smallest scale possible.
Hold on. I come from light skinned people. I got light skinned people in my family. I'm a white man.
You need to change.
Oh my God.
Identity crisis.
Oh my God.
You're a white man.
It's so funny. But I'm saying you made an excellent point earlier about the whole. Wait, just hear me out. I'm saying you made an excellent point about the LGBT transgender shit with the whole Black Girls Rock thing. You don't think that they should have tried to force their way into that space, right?
No, I think that I just said what their argument about Black Girls Rock just invalidates all of the fighting and hollering that they do every day about wanting to be addressed and wanting to be accepted as a black woman. If you're a black woman, live your truth. Black Girls Rock was for you. You saying that it wasn't for the black trans community is divisive in telling you, saying, okay, well, are you women or are you not?
You know what that? Okay, you know that is a valid point. I didn't understand their frustration. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. In other words,
we would have shout out to the black women in the room. Oh, and the black trans women. Like no, this divisive.
You know what? That's actually a valid point. I didn't even think about that.
Let's leave on that note. Goodbye.
It invalidates.
Yeah, no more.
It invalidates what they were saying.
Don't.
Wait, I'm just saying. I don't understand why you can see that, but you can't see. You can't see the whole issue with light skinned women busting in dark skinned women's faces. Are you serious right now?
I'm dead ass. Like,
you know what?
go
Okay,
get me
we
some
done.
bacon.
We done. We done.
We got.
I thought.
I don't fuck with white men.
You know what?